Carey Graver started as an actor before cinematography, as a cinematographer. Were you an actor first?
Well, yes.
You were an actor.
I wasn't. I studied acting
You
a lot.
studied.
Yes.
With who?
A lot of good people. Well, I was with the Portland Civic Theater in Portland.
Oh, okay.
And then I came to L.A. to be an actor. And
So you're from Northwest.
yeah, Portland.
Uh-huh.
I studied with, luckily, with Jeff Corey, Charles Conrad, Lucille Ball, Lee J. Cobb.
Lucille Ball taught acting?
Yes. I was in an acting class on La Cienega.
Right.
With Lee J. Cobb, and he had to leave to do a movie, and Lucille Ball came in.
She filled in.
And she's the one that told me, she said, look, nobody is going to help you. You've got to do it yourself. Make your own short movie, write a play, write a screenplay, whatever. Don't wait for someone to hire you. Make it happen. I took that advice and went out when I was 23 and made my first feature.
And what was?
What was it? Mm-hmm. Well, it was called Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And then a distributor put it in the drive-ins as a sort of a sexy movie, which it wasn't, and he called it The Embracers. Uh-huh. And it played around, and then I've redone it. I went back 35 years later. Uh-huh. And played a homeless bum on Hollywood Boulevard going through the garbage cans. Uh-huh. And the girl who was in the movie with me pulls up and sees me, and eyes connect. And she's rich and driving a brand new convertible and everything, but we don't talk. So I shot a new ending in color because the film was in black and white.
Right.
I'm going back to the original title, Hollywood, which no one's used except one movie in the way in the early talkies, and that's been destroyed.
As a filmmaker, looking back, Hollywood, you came here, you're very young. It's changed a lot. You've met the giants of Hollywood stars, the directors, the producers. You've dealt with the best. Change. Tell me about the change of Hollywood.
Well, Hollywood, the city, I'll tell you, when I came to Hollywood, and I worked in the Vogue Theater and the Grauman's Chinese, I was an assistant manager there, and movie stars, character actors, all kinds of people.
Right.
It was nothing to see them strolling the boulevard.
And Hollywood Boulevard, yes.
John Derek and his wife would come into the Chinese, and I worked in Beverly Hills in the theater, and I used to let in Mr. Hitchcock, Alfred Hitchcock, and Jean Renoir, Bing Crosby, and people like that.
Right.
Down Hollywood Boulevard, some nights you'd see Peter Ustinov or Jose Ferrer. Uh-huh. You don't see that anymore. It's dark. Hollywood Boulevard was lit up. There were no bars on the windows. There were bright lights, and it was beautiful.
What do you think happened? Is it the foreigners that moved on Hollywood Boulevard, like the Iranians, like the Turks, like the Chinese, everybody is, they're foreigners on Hollywood Boulevard. All the owners of the managements of the stores, they don't know what Hollywood Boulevard was.
Well,
that's what ruined it, don't you think, Gary?
They just let it run down. And you would think they would have kept it up like the 3rd Street Promenade or something.
Exactly.
Because it's such a famous place.
Hollywood did move over to 3rd Street Promenade. I mean, it's lit up there. Why don't they take care of it down in Hollywood Boulevard?
Well, they're supposed to be doing. They keep threatening.
They keep doing it for years and years, Gary. And I'm sick of the Chamber of Congress keep saying we're redoing Hollywood. They got a new sign up there. Remember, I was there for the opening. You've been around here like I've been. I was a child actor out here, and it makes me tired what the Chamber of Congress and all these people of Hollywood Boulevard are doing to our boulevard. It's terrible. It's sleazy. It's worse than 42nd Street used to be on New York City.
Well, it's like Skid Row.
That's exactly it. Gary Graver, Orson Welles. Got to jump right away to Orson Welles. the most powerful actor, director, Rita Hayworth's husband, married to Rita Hayworth, one of the greats. Orson Welles, powerful from the day of radio. Joseph Cotton, all these great stars.
Mercury Theater.
Mercury Theater.
War of the Worlds.
Working with Orson Welles as a young man must have been a joy. It must have been an absolute joy.
Well,
Carey.
it was great because Orson was truly a very bright, intelligent, creative, actor, producer. And people, I must stress this a little bit, that Orson was a producer. He produced everything he did in the theater with John Houseman.
Right.
And he produced things. He put them on.
He got the money for the films, and he had a lot of trouble getting money sometimes, didn't he?
Yes, because Orson didn't really need a producer. He needed the money.
Money. That's exactly what he did.
But everybody in Hollywood is trying to get money. Orson was just famous for it. Because
having lunches over it and trying to get money.
Yes.
It was that first lunch. This is, matter of fact, what is this right here? Show me this. Tell me about this.
This is
Orson Welles at a meeting, or
no, we're in Paris.
This is in Paris.
At one of a very, very good restaurant. No matter what we did, you got to straighten a little bit, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
Every evening we would go to a restaurant, and Orson would take all of a small group, and we'd have the best meal. We always ate good.
This is his sister right here, Gary. This one right here is his
No,
sister?
that's a sister of Orson's companion, Oya.
Companion?
Her name is
and this one is Oya.
Oya Kodar.
That's his girlfriend. It was his girlfriend.
His companion, girlfriend, collaborator. They co-wrote together. And best
What year
friend
was this about, would you say? This one right here of Orson?
This
Gary?
is about 1973.
God, look at him. This is in Paris.
Yeah, in Paris. We're doing...
That's one of his favorite places, you know. He met Eartha Kitt there. He developed Eartha Kitt to become a big superstar of the world. That's where he met Eartha Kitt.
Yes.
And he just introduced her to American audiences. He did that to a lot of stars. Like who else has he done it to? What other female stars that he has really...
Well, he brought, basically he really brought his Mercury Theater group.
To America.
Agnes Moorehead.
Right.
Who we always considered a wonderful actor.
Great.
And mostly he did it in the beginning with his Mercury Theater
Mercury
people.
Theater. Joseph Cotton and him were very, very close.
Yes, very close.
I interviewed Joseph, and he was telling me all about him. Now, this is Gary Graver and Orson togetherness. Look at you, Gary. Long, hippie hair, huh? This is the days when you were a good-looking guy. Were you married then, at the time?
Yes.
Yes.
And that's Orson has a funny kind of a...
I see the outfit he's got. Let's look at this.
Kind of a crown on his head.
Let me get back to this picture. Oh, yeah, I see it. He's got a crown up here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
a crown of thorns.
He looks pretty
happy. This was taken in Beverly Hills in a rented house.
A rented house in Beverly Hills?
Yeah.
I like this one. On the radio, is this one right here?
This is in toward the end of his life in a recording studio in
look
Hollywood.
How young. This is towards the end of his life, Gary?
Yes.
Good-looking guy.
And I think he, with his beard and his distinguished look, he got better looking, and he lost weight, you see.
Yeah, he lost a lot of weight, didn't he? Was he up and down all the time with his weight?
Up and down, but he was always heavy.
Heavy.
He leaned toward being
Where
heavy.
was he from originally?
Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Kenosha, Wisconsin. Orson Welles from Kenosha, Wisconsin. You brought a clip that when Orson died, you were very close to him because you were his cinematography for a long time on his films. And I'm going to let you, Peter Bogdanovich introduces you.
It explains itself. This is at Orson's memorial, November of 1985.
Let's see the clip, okay? Peter Bogdanovich.
Very much. Orson was the best.
How very pleasant. Good evening. Our next guest, next speaker, has been Orson's friend and cameraman for about 15 years, and a friend, very good friend, underline. He worked on The Other Side of the Wind, and F for Fake, and The Dreamers, which we're going to see a little bit of, and a film called Filming Othello. Would you welcome Gary Graver?
The thing that's sad to me, really, is that I want to talk to Orson. I wish I could talk to him and tell him a lot of things right now. That's what probably makes me feel saddest of all. But anyway, working with Orson, a couple of funny things have happened. It was very intense, and there was never a dull moment. And once I had my eye on the eyepiece, and I was shooting, and Orson was right behind me, leaning over me. I could feel him there. All of a sudden, I felt this sort of a little pain in the back, and all of a sudden, his cigar had burnt right through my shirt. It was... And it was always something like that. I'd like to thank a lot of the people who worked on The Other Side of the Wind, the crew and crews, must fill half this place, for coming here today. The thing that I really remember about Orson, I don't know why, when I was a child in kindergarten, they put us down on a blanket and gave us chocolate milk, and we had to go to sleep. And they would play us from time to time a recording of Oscar Wilde's The Happy Prince, narrated by Orson, and with Bing Crosby and Lorraine Tuttle, 3 people. And I for some reason, I never ever forgot that story or his telling of it. You know, and it stuck with me from the time I was 6 years old and still today. And the story quickly is that of a statue of a prince who, it's Christmas time, and he wants to, a little bird lands on him, a swallow, and he tells the swallow to peel off his gold leaves and drop them around to the poor people so people can have a nice Christmas and have some food. And the bird plucks out the prince's eyes. Anyway, then the prince is thrown in a dust heap because he's no good anymore, and along with the dead bird. And as Orson said it, as he said it in the recording, Orson said, "Bring me," this is Oscar Wilde, "bring me the 2 most precious things in the city," said God to one of his angels. And the angel brought him the dead bird and the leaden heart of the happy prince. "Of what use are these?" said the angel. And God said, "In my kingdom of paradise the swallow shall sing forevermore, and in my city of gold the happy prince shall praise me." Well, I shall always think of Orson as the happy prince, and I think he really now is in his own city of gold.
When you talk about Orson today, how does Gary Graver feel? That you knew this great genius, wherever you go in the world, using the word Orson Welles, genius. How does Gary Graver put that together?
Well, one of the things it's ironic is that I'm still working with Orson because we're trying to finish this picture called The Other Side of the Wind.
Yes.
Which we made, which is a very important picture because it's his last movie.
This was his last.
And we finished shooting it and everything, and it only needs to be edited. Orson left about 45, 50 minutes edited himself, personally.
Right.
And we were trying to put the post-production money together and finish it. And we have a lot of people saying they want to do it, but nobody can seem to write a check out.
Right.
So
to finish the
we got
film.
a couple of irons in the fire, and there's been a revival in Orson's career because of the re-release of Touch of Evil and Citizen Kane being the best picture, American picture.
What's your favorite film? You have a favorite film of Orson Welles, Gary?
Well, I think Citizen Kane because it's so creative and so, it's just marvelous.
Did he ever tell you how long did that picture take to be made?
Wasn't that long? I think
Not
about
at all.
3 months or something
Is that it,
like that.
right?
Yeah.
A great movie in 3 months.
Well, it's so creative because he was experimenting, and that's what he was basically an experimental filmmaker.
Right.
And experimental theater man working in Hollywood.
Right. Because he really started in the theater.
Yes.
That's what he was, a
Yes.
theater actor. And to become a film, you're using the word experimental. That's the genius of young people of today. There are some youngs out there, great geniuses of young kids today. Who do you find? Anyone around today? In that?
Who do I like?
Yes, of the young.
Not a lot of people, because everything seemed to be a remake.
Yes.
And everything seems to be, to me, really, a point and shoot kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
You know, just point the camera somewhere and shoot it, instead of angles and character development and working with the actors, etc. I shoot a lot of movies, and the directors hardly talk to the actors about anything, except go through that door, or go here, or do this, you know.
You from cinematography, then you developed into becoming a director.
I started out as a director.
You started out.
Then I became a cameraman.
Cameraman for Orson Welles. For how long did you work? Oh no.
No. For other people.
For other people. How long did you work for Orson Welles?
15 years.
15 years.
From 1970 to 85.
What kind?
I did a lot of other movies at the same time.
Right.
But the situation was that once he got me working with him,
Yes.
he said, "Now, Gary," he said, "I want you to have this arrangement with me that if you get a job, come to me and tell me, and I'll tell you if I need you or not." So that's okay. And that's what I did. And if I'd say, "Oh, I'm going to do a Gary Coleman movie of the week or something," or "I'm going to go to Utah or something," he'd say, "Fine." Or a lot of pictures I didn't do because he says, "No, we must shoot, Gary. I need you." So I would go with Orson first. And the reason I wanted to work with Orson is because I didn't think there were enough Orson Welles movies, and I wanted to see more, and I had no idea that he would ever ask me to join him.
Right.
Not just as his cameraman, but as his friend, collaborator, you know, all around the world with him, go everywhere.
What have you learned, Gary Graver, from Orson Welles working with this genius? What have you learned?
Well, I learned many important things, you know, working with actors, which I always like to do anyway.
Was he easy working with actors, Orson Welles?
Very good.
Was he?
Oh, yeah, very good. And he was, of course, lighting.
Lighting.
And a lot of camera techniques and things, and he knew exactly what he wanted. We didn't have the monitors to look at, so Orson had to trust me. The method was, he would have the camera to his eye,
right,
and he'd say, "Come here, Gary," and then he'd move his head to the side. He said, "This is it. See it?" And I had to make it exactly right, because when he saw the dailies, if it wasn't exactly what he wanted, well, I got hell about it.
Did you think Orson Welles was that Italian director, which I love, Leone, he did all those Western...
Leone?
Leone. To me, Leone is a genius, too.
Yes, I like Leone.
Love Leone's. I think he is he made Clint Eastwood. He made so many stars. He started the spaghetti westerns in Italy.
And he had a film ruin, too, Once
God.
Upon a Time in America.
That was my favorite.
They wrecked that.
Wrecked it terrible. I think he's a genius. He died young, too. Young. 60. Was he 60? Now his sister is directing, I think. His sister, I think she is. Leone.
Really? I didn't know that.
I think. I'm not sure. But there's another genius, see. I like, there's two geniuses, Orson Welles and Leone.
Very stylistic.
Very, very. And they treated their actors real good. Working with Orson Welles on this film, The Other Side of the Wind, the stars in the movie. Oh, you brought a clip.
Yep. How I met Orson.
How you really met Orson Welles making this film, So let's show the clip, okay?
I just felt the camaraderie would be there, and it was. So one day in 1970, near the 4th of July, I was at Schwab's drugstore in Hollywood. And I read in Variety that Orson Welles was in town at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I went back to the phone booth, called him up, and to my surprise, he answered the phone. Hello? I said, Orson Welles? Yes, who is this? I introduced myself, Gary Graver. I said, I'm an American cameraman, et cetera, et cetera. He says, well, I'm very busy. I'm on my way to the airport. He says, I've got to go to New York to make a picture. He took my number and he said, call me later. I said, okay, that's fine. That's pretty good. So I went home. I drove up Laurel Canyon to my house. As I pulled in my driveway, the phone was ringing. I ran into my house, picked up the phone. Gary, this is Orson. Get over to the Beverly Hills Hotel right away. I've got to talk to you. Wow. It was surprised and shocked. I got in my car, drove over to the Beverly Hills Hotel, and there he was. And I was extremely nervous meeting Orson. I was in awe, and I was impressed to be in his company. And we sat down and chatted for a while, and he said to me, he says, I have a great idea for a movie, and I would like to work with you. He said, you're the second cameraman that's called me up. Only 2 cameramen have ever called me up and said they wanted to work with me. The first one was Greg Toland on Citizen Kane. He says, now you. So it must mean good luck. He says, I'm going to go to New York and make a picture, and when I come back, we'll start some tests and make The Other Side of the Wind. And as we chatted along, all of a sudden, he grabbed me by the back of the neck and threw me down on the ground. And I was down there, looking. And he was holding me, and I wondered what the hell was going on. It was very strange. And he leaned on me, he pushed me down, and said, shh, shh, shh. He said, shh, shh, don't make a noise. And he looked up, and he was looking out the window all around. I thought, what the hell have I gotten myself into here? What's going on? Here I was with Orson Welles, laying flat on the rug in his Beverly Hills bungalow, not knowing what the hell was going on. And then after a few minutes, he said, come on, get up. And we got up. I said, well, what was that? He said, out the window, he said, it's the actress, Ruth Gordon. If she saw me in here, she'd come in and talk. He said, I want to talk to you. So that was my first meeting with Orson. When Orson Welles came back from New York, he called me, and I began a series of tests, and I was very nervous about it. The tests, as you see here, are shots of Orson sitting in the Beverly Hills Hotel bungalow that he rented, and I was shooting him. And these tests were made with the beginning of a test to see for lighting and how he looked and everything, and what I could do if I was a cameraman. And then we proceeded to shoot The Other Side of the Wind. I just want to run you down the cast list who eventually ended up on the other side of the wind. John Huston, Peter Bogdanovich, Oya Kodar, Robert Random, Lily Palmer, Edmund O'Brien, Cameron Mitchell, Mercedes McCambridge, Norman Foster, Dennis Hopper, Paul Stewart, Susan Strasberg, Tony O'Selwert, Claude Chabrol, Stefan Audran, Paul Mazursky, Henry Jaglom, George Jessel, John Carroll, Benny Rubin, Peter Jason, Gregory Sierra, Dan Tobin, and Curtis Harrington. One of the actors...
Okay.
Only me.
Boy, you had some great giants of a stars there in that film. Even Georgie Jessel?
Yes.
Tell me about Georgie Jessel in this
Orson
movie.
loved Georgie Jessel. And he loved comedians and offbeat things like that. And he loved burlesque comedians and vaudeville people.
I do. Oh, he would like me too, boy. I'll tell you something. Georgie Jessel, he loved. I think that was Georgie Jessel's last film, wasn't it?
Oh, yes.
I think so.
Yes.
And Georgie Jessel smoked cigars, and Orson smoked cigars. Did the cigar smoking bother you on the set when they smoked? Like, he always had the cigar in his mouth.
No.
No?
No.
It didn't bother the actors, some of the actors?
No.
On the set? Yeah.
No.
Susan Strasberg was in this. She was a very dear friend of mine. I just loved her.
Yes.
John Huston, great, great filmmaker. Tell me about him.
John was with us about 4 weeks in end of the shooting in 1975. We did a lot of work without them.
Right.
Without him and the other cast. And then we were in Arizona for a month in this big ranch house.
Right.
Filming, which we made our set. And he was great. I mean, you know, and the actor. I mean, John stayed in a little crummy motel.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter if you're an actor and you stay at the best place.
Absolutely.
And to be there. But he was a wonderful character. And one evening I sat up all night, just myself like a fly on the wall.
Picking his brain, listening to him.
No, listening to Orson and Houston.
Oh, really? They argued? Did they ever argue?
So here we have the film with the two giants and legends, Orson Welles and John Huston. And I know everybody wants to see. Everybody asked me, when is it going to be finished?
Right.
We're working on it, folks. We're working on it.
Let's go back to what you're doing now. I'd like to know.
Crew.
Right. Huh?
Okay.
Oh, the Crew. This
Yeah.
is what is this one right here, The Crew?
Now, we did a picture called F for Fake. And this is the entire crew of the picture.
The entire crew?
There's myself, the cameraman, with the earphones on. I've got my camera. There's the recording, Naga recording, doing the sound.
Right.
Here's Orson's cue cards and the light for the cue cards.
Open up so I can see it.
And then here's Orson's key light across a 2x4 on a couple of stands.
Yes, I see it.
So
Very
because
good.
a lot of the film was just Orson talking, I was the crew.
I see. Tell me about the Yellow Brick Road. You just did a film.
I just produced a movie. I fell into it. I guess I'm switching careers because I was
there to
Well, I mean, I photographed this film.
Right.
But I was asked to be the
director,
co-producer, and the co-director. Called Murder on the Yellow Brick Road, with a bunch of actors, including you.
Yes, I played a security guard. Thank you. You gave me a few days' work. Thank you, Gary.
Yes, and it's with an actor named Ross Hagen, who was in a lot of movies, and TV shows, and I worked with a lot, and Nancy Kwan.
I love Nancy Kwan.
And we have Angus McFadden, who was the fourth lead in Braveheart, and in Spartacus, the new one. And we had the Playmate of August, and a lot of good character actors.
Did you do the Leeches? The Leeches. Look at this. The Leeches. Oh, my God.
This is some new work.
The Leeches. And this one is what?
This is a film by Ray Manzarek, the keyboard artist of The Doors.
Oh, yes.
And a story by Jim Morrison.
And The Long Ride Home. Boy, oh, boy. Eric...
Yeah, these are current things I'm working a lot. The Long Ride Home with Eric Roberts.
Ernest Borgnine, boy.
Yeah.
And what's this one right here?
This we did last year with Gary Busey.
Oh, this is Quinley, that story of that girl.
Quigley the dog.
Yeah, the dog,
and Oz Perkins, Anthony Perkins' son, who's wonderful, a wonderful actor.
Anthony Perkins had a son?